I would, at the next time, like to present our next speaker, Lynne Robson. She's a 20-year website development expert with clients all over the world, including South Korea and Australia. But currently, she is spending her time focusing on the Winnipeg market and helping entrepreneurs as well. She'll be teaching people today how to remain in control of their website domain. Everyone, I'd like to welcome Lynne Robson, talking today about virtual addresses.
Okay, I'm not standing behind this thing. And I'm a walker, because that's how I get through these things. So, so I'll walk this way, this way. Mainly, this was supposed to be a 5-minute thing, so I'm prepared for 5 minutes. I'll probably go further than that. But what I want to talk about is your virtual address. So I like to talk about your website as being your virtual location. And your virtual address is obviously your www.whateverit is.com. Back in the olden days, when I first got into this, a lot of people didn't know how to get a domain. You had to go to Network Solutions. It cost something like $75 a year, and you had to get 2 years. It was insane. Things have gotten a lot cheaper, obviously. It's about $20 a year now to get your domain name. But what has happened in the interim, and especially what I'm finding here in Manitoba, is a lot of people went and had their websites done by somebody else. And when they had their website done, somebody said, well, you have to go get your domain name. Oh, it's okay, just go take care of that for me. Well, what's happened is I'm finding more and more people don't have actual control over the domain name. So what's the ramifications for that for you as the business owner? It means that if you want to do a new website with a new website designer, you've got to go and find out where your domain name is. Who actually is it registered to? Is it registered to you? Or is it registered to your old domain name, the guy who did your original website? Did you go to Vistaprint and get their free website, and now you've got your domain name hooked up through Vistaprint, and it's almost impossible because Vistaprint technically owns your domain name. It takes you 5 minutes to go to GoDaddy.com or Rebel. There's a half dozen different registers out there to register your own domain name. Even if you don't have a website, go get your name. It costs you $20 a year. Sometimes it's even cheaper than that, depending on where it is. And hold on to it. Don't give it away to somebody else to take care of. Because if you give it away, you end up like a couple of my clients right now that we're trying to get control of their stuff so we can do a new website for them. And we can't do that because the name's not registered to them. It's registered to somebody else. The email addresses are hooked up to another person. In one case, the business that it's hooked up to doesn't even exist anymore. The website developer is gone. You can't find them, can't get a hold of them. So what that means is it's going to cost a whole bunch of money for the client to go through all of the processes of trying to get it back. If they've built a relationship with the world with their old website address, now they've got to change that website address in order to build something new and hope that eventually their name becomes available again to them somewhere down the line and hasn't been paid for the next 10 years with some other company. You have to take control of your domain name. It's your business. You wouldn't tell your interior designer, website designer, to go to the, the company's office to get your name in Manitoba. You wouldn't tell them to go to the company's office and say, can you go take care of my business name for me? Because that's essentially what you're doing when you're telling your website developer to take care of your business name for you, or your domain name for you. You want to do it yourself. I was going to talk a little bit more about, same thing goes with hosting. Make sure that you pay for your own hosting, that you get your own hosting. Don't get hosting with your website developer. It may be really easy for them to say, hey, I'll charge you $50 a year, $50 a month for this hosting, or $50 a year, and I'll take care of everything. What happens again? Down the road, you decide that you want to move on to somebody else. You want a new website, and you've lost your website because there's bad blood. Guy says, oh, I'm not giving it to you, it's on my hosting. What are you going to do? And what are you going to do? Absolutely nothing. You're going to lose it. I have one client, it cost them $40,000 to get their domain name and their database back from a hosting company website developer. In the end, they still lost their domain name, and they still lost all of the information in their database because they couldn't complete the whole process of getting it back. It's $20 a year for a domain name, $100 a year for hosting. That's it. Then you call me and we get everything else worked out. But if you want to know if you already have a website and you want to know whether or not you're in control of everything, by all means, I've got cards. Give me a call. We can check it out, make sure that everything belongs to you. If you want to go do a domain name search, give me a call. We'll see what we can find you a domain. I'll walk you through the process of purchasing it and taking care of it yourself. And the same thing goes for hosting. And like I said, I'm happy to work with you the other way, but I'm also I would much prefer if you guys had your own control of your own stuff than giving it away to somebody else. So that's it. I'm done. Any questions? Yes.
Then, is it still important? I remember a while back I was researching this type of topic, and some articles I read advised you to buy slight misspellings of your domain name and everything else, so that when people search, it still might come up if they type your name wrong, things like that.
You know what? I don't think so. I think that spending a lot of money on something that you don't necessarily need to spend money on, I recommend that my clients, we are Canadians, we are legally the only people that can actually own a .ca. So make sure you get your .ca and get your .com, especially if you're going to do business in the United States. If you're doing business in the US likes to see a .com. It just is what it is. They like working. They have this sense of they're doing business within their community, even if the business isn't in their country. So as soon as they see a .ca, they get shy. If you're not doing business in the US, it's not a big deal. But .com is still the most recognized domain extension. So a lot of people go, oh, blah, 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 .com. It flows a little bit better. So if you can get both, get both. There's lots of new extensions out there. There's geekygirl.social now. If the extension is something that pertains to your business, for example, Jason.mortgage, it might be something that you want to get. Just because it's something that you can, again, it flows well when you're marketing it. But I just recommend getting the .com and the .ca. Don't go crazy on other ones. I think in the olden days it was a little bit different because we were really focused, when it came to search engines, we were really focused on the big picture of the search engines. Now we're really focused on local and local search. So the likelihood is your name's going to come up anyway, especially if your name is slightly different than somebody else's anyway.
I just want to add, Google does a really good job of fixing it, right? So if somebody types in geeky girls or something, then
Did you mean?
yeah, exactly. Google's doing a really good job of looking at that stuff for us, so it's not really worth. I would tell them to pick their name first and last, right? And like those kinds of things, especially if you're working in person with people. But rather than don't bother
It's money that you don't need to
spelling it
spend.
in different ways, because that's $200 that you can spend on something else.
And the SEO can take care of this balance as well, too.
As a rule, it does now. It didn't. Before it was a lot different. Things have changed a lot. Technology's changed a lot. So you
And
probably.
it doesn't help your SEO anyway to get multiples.
In fact, multiple domain names pointing to your domain will.
Takes away from your SEO.
It takes away from your SEO. There are a lot of the SEO companies will actually drop you lower into the penalize you. That's the word. I knew there was a word for having too many domains pointing to your website. So you want to be pretty clear and clean. You had a question, sir?
No, it was basically to say, so what, the misspelling, well, what about using meta tags as your,
We don't, you know what, meta tags are starting to change too. The search engines aren't really looking for them as much. I am by no means a search engine expert. Back in the day when I first started this, it was a little bit different because there weren't SEO people. You did what you did and you did it yourself. There are people out there that have a much better understanding Again, you want to get, we talk about being secure and taking control of what you do. There's some very specific things that you want to avoid. If there's a company out there that says to you, I can get you #1 in Google, guaranteed, run. Don't stop, don't look back, just keep going, because nobody can do that. The algorithms in Google specifically change so drastically every day that there's no way that they can guarantee that, ever. You want to make sure that you're working with really good software. You want to make sure that you're using the right kind of content. And there are content editors and content people that do content. For example, Madden back here will help you optimize your website so that your content works and that the search engines are happy with you. And then using social media and pulling social media in, which will give you a really good place in the grand scheme of things on the SEO level. It's not like it was before, where you had keywords and you had meta tags, and you had to make sure that there was enough keywords that matched your meta tags, and there was a high this and a high that, and so on. You don't have to do that quite as much because they're not looking for that anymore. They're looking for content, and they're looking for how much stuff is relevant. So basically what the search engines, their only job, and a lot of people get, oh, I've been penalized by Google because they don't like me. They don't care. They really, honestly, they could care less about you. They just want you to give, all their job is to make sure that they are giving the person that's searching the search engines the information that they are asking for. They don't care who's giving it to them, as long as they're matching the criteria in order to get it to them. So your goal as a website owner is to make sure that you are giving the relevant content for the search engines to find in the best possible way for the searcher. That's it. It's pretty cut and dry. So using lots of different spammy things to get the search engines to like you, at the end of the day will get you penalized and drop further and further and further. So you want to make sure that you're doing all of the right things and not all of the things that back in the old days we used to do, like putting a whole bunch of content and hiding it at the bottom of the page. That was a little trick. Hidden pictures, pixels with alt tags, and you would run your you have, now that we've got screen readers, you can see old websites that still do that. You go onto the Wayback Machine and you put the screen reader on, and the screen reader will actually read all of these hidden alt tags all over your page. It's actually pretty funny. Yeah, you just want to be up and up. And most software, I work with WordPress, it will just do what it does. It's the best thing to be using out there anyway. Yes?
So I've been having trouble with WordPress. I just want to know that versus, because I'm more design based, I guess. So I've been trying to adjust in WordPress, and I'm finding it really difficult because I don't know coding. So if I don't know that, is there a different software that I can use that's similar?
I think.
WordPress, yeah.
I mean, I'm a WordPress house, and I do design. So
Yeah.
what you want to learn how to do is work within the templating system of WordPress.
Right.
You still want to use WordPress as your software. That's what you want to be using to have your website online. The core of WordPress
Yeah.
is what's going to give you all of the search engine stuff and all the good stuff. Okay? The templating is something to the other side of that. And there's all kinds of stuff online. If you want to go and look for, templating for WordPress, you can do all kinds of search for that. If from a design perspective you want to learn how to do the templating part, that's the design part of it. Don't try messing with the code, because if you try messing with the code, it'll break and then it's done.
Yeah.
You don't ever want to be working in the core. You always want to be working outside of the core. And there's all kinds of really good things, like the one that I work with most is Genesis. And on Genesis, you would build a child theme on Genesis, so you can play with the style sheets. So you want to learn CSS, you want to understand HTML, and you want to work with the templates.
So
Or you want to call me, and I
Yeah.
take your design and make it into a template, and then you just have to add your content.
Gotcha. Okay. So currently I'm using Wix, and it's just.
And I just, I'm hurting now already. My teeth are
Yeah.
yeah.
the ears.
Yeah, I'm getting that, you know that thing when you bite into something that's too sour and you get that pain back here? Yeah, yeah. Call me. Yes. So, there you go. I think unless there's other questions. I've got some cards if anybody wants some cards. If not, I talked way more than 5 minutes. Sorry.